Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing very well. This is an ad hoc video because of our schedule change. As you are no doubt aware by now, the university has gone back to online. I found out during the Monday 11 a.m. class, and so we have to adjust, and we are adjusting as best we can. And so I'm going to try to give you some more tips and ideas and advice on making your videos. And so we're going to talk about that. And there'll be a week 15 video because we technically need to have one, but we'll talk about that. It's not going to be important. But, right. Everything's back to online. We've turned our presentations into videos as best we can. I want you, when you make your videos, try to take advantage of the video medium. You have a chance to do second takes, third takes to make sure your delivery is correct or as correct as you want it to be. So be aware of that. But also, I'm going to be, for lack of a better term, I'm going to be much more forgiving and generous about these final projects. This is a lot more technical, and I'm going to be more understanding if things don't go right. Such is the nature of life. So I changed the due date. The new due date, as you can see on eClass, is December 6th for everyone. December 6th. So you have extra time, and so you have an opportunity to do some new things, to try some new things. So I hope you take advantage of that. Also, I want to try to reduce your stress because you have other tests and projects. I know it's the end of the semester, but we're trying to play with things and try to be nice as possible. Our first tip: video angles. Now, I'm intersplicing some different clips and videos that I've made up about lighting and angles. Be aware of what the lens sees and what version of you that shows to your audience. Be aware of how that looks and how you look. Do you look, I don't want to say professional, but do you look healthy? Do you look good? Do you look attentive? Do you look like you care? That's something that we don't have to often think about, but it's something we should think about, especially in how performative our industry is. We are performers in many ways. Now, how I look naturally, my natural resting face, so to speak, my neutral face is this. I look angry. I look tired. That's how I always look tired, and I always look a little angry. And students, young students, they'll comment on that. And so I've been the ugly, fat, angry teacher, but I've also been the happy, nice, kind teacher. And handsome too, which is, anyways. But that's it based on how I present myself. So I have to smile more and look happier and look less, less angry all the time. And that's something that we need to be aware of. Some of us should be especially aware of how we look and how we present ourselves. It is a factor in how people see us. Is it fair? No. But is that reality? Yes. And so I hope you can learn before you get harshly judged by others. So I've been harshly judged in Korea. It's part of the growing process. But hopefully you become aware of that, of how you look. So if you record yourself, you can see how you present yourself, how you look. Do you look attentive or do you look bored? And I mentioned this before. If you look bored, why should your students care? They won't. They shouldn't. So be aware of that as well. The angle of your camera does matter. I recorded some example of high angle and low angle and how it looks to the viewer, and it's never attractive. So try to keep things pretty flat and even, and try to make sure that it shows the best you. And your nonverbal communication, your body language shows that your shoulders are not slouched or something, that you're not sitting down in your chair like this going, "Hey everybody, how you doing?" That sends a different message than sitting up. Or if you're standing, how are you standing? All your posture, those are all parts of our job now. Lights matter, and be aware of how lights do change how you look. And here's a short video, a short segment about lights. Hello everyone, this is a short segment about lights. And right now, you can see I have my lights off, and I have the blinds closed. Closing even more. The only light source is my monitor. And so, this can be done for dramatic effect, but we can see we're going to show some different ways of lighting and how we can do it. If I open the blinds a little bit, it looks like I'm on the surface of the sun. It's really bright because the camera is out of whack. So we can adjust our lighting so to best fit and for the mood that we want. Depending on the situation and where we are, we can play with some certain things. Let's see how we can do it. Now, I have a ring light, which is I bought off the internet. And a ring light is just that. It's a device for lighting. This is the back of it, and it projects right onto my face. It's very bright, and it hurts my eyes. But a nice thing about the ring lights nowadays is that we can adjust the brightness levels, and we can also change what we call the temperature of lights. Basically, the light color in a sense. This is we see it's much bluer in color. It's pure white, and this is a much warmer color. It's much more oranges, and we can see how it can affect things, and how we position the light can affect our light as well. Put it right in front of the camera lens. It's different than to the side, but that's uncomfortable for me. And we put it above, put it below. If we're telling a ghost story or something like that, we can adjust how it looks. And so, but in general, we want nice, even lighting, and it helps us look better. And it is something quite important to bear in mind. We want to look good for our audience, for our students. So something else to be aware of is how our lighting works and how it looks and all those fun things. Now, if you'll be patient with me, you don't have lights, external lighting. That's to be expected. You have ceiling lights, and a lot of us have the same kind of lights in our apartments and our homes. They're very harsh, and they can make us look much older or much uglier. There's no nice way to say it than we actually are. Depending on how our lights and our cameras are picking us up, we can look better or worse than we actually are. And it's something that we should be aware of. We can look sick if our lighting doesn't look good or doesn't look all right. So it's something to be aware of that we're playing with. So obviously, your camera, you might be using your computer, your webcam, your phone camera. So your lens does play a role, but your lights are very important, and how you use the lights and how you position your lights as well. Something to be aware of as we make our own videos, how people see you. It's not fair, it's not nice, but it is the reality of it, and you should be aware of that. Wasn't that interesting? Wow, what an amazing video. I just made it. Now, sound is also very important. In a lot of ways, sound is more important. Here's a short segment about sound. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing very well. This is a short video about audio and about how important it is and how it can work. Audio is something that is often overlooked in video production, especially in our video productions with how things are working. It's very important that your audience, your students, can understand and hear you. This is something I had to learn myself in the first semester. I had a difficult time using the university's setup and equipment, and eventually I had to just get my own setup and do it myself. So we're going to show you some different examples of what we can do and what we cannot do, and how it affects audio. Now, I record my video and my audio separately. So I have a program open right now, Adobe Audition. It's part of my subscription, but that's recording my voice right now. And the video from the camera is recording that. Now, the camera has a microphone, but it's what they call an omnidirectional. It picks up a lot of different things. So the difference between this microphone and that microphone is quite big. And so I'm going to switch to off of this mic and over to this mic now. So can you hear the difference in the ambience and the background noise, what you can hear, how I sound, and what it sounds like as well? So imagine if we had a whole class like this, a whole video, a whole 50 minutes, it might not sound very good. And it's something that would be unpleasant and you would complain about, because I did have students complain about it in the first semester. So let's switch back to this now. All right, so that's why I have this microphone, and it is quite nice to have, but mic placement is also quite important. If we move it too far away, or very far away, we can't hear very well or at all. And that's something to bear in mind. Make sure that your mic can be heard, and that you, rather, your mic can hear you. That's very important. This whole time, I've also been using my cell phone to record myself. I don't think you're going to have your own mic setup. There's no reason for you to, but you do have cell phones, and you can use your cell phones to, yes, record your video, but also if you have another cell phone, a family member or a friend, to record audio separately that you can stitch together, to put together, and that will help sound a lot better. Something that we don't always realize is that when we watch a movie or a YouTube video, in a lot of ways, especially in movies and TV shows, we're not hearing anything real. As in, all the sounds we hear in a movie, those weren't the actual sounds when they filmed that scene, because it's how they have to Foley. They have microphones, but also all the sounds of cars and walking. They Foley that in. They recreate those sounds in a studio, or they use sound effects. We see this a lot in Korean TV shows with the audience reacts, where everyone goes, "Woo!" That sound, that's the same sound again and again. It's a stock sound. So it's something to bear in mind that sound is really important, and being able to hear clearly is a very important part of the viewing experience. Director Christopher Nolan, his philosophy about sound, a lot of people hate, and a lot of people complain that you can't hear what his characters are saying because of all the noise. The sound mixing is bad. It is a factor. In some of the supplementary materials that we'll see this week, and I'll link it. The audience can tolerate bad video quality, but they cannot tolerate bad audio quality. You're not going. You could. I guess you're young enough that you don't really have this problem anymore. But when I was younger, I download movies or watch movies on YouTube back when they were first starting in 2006. The quality was 144p, but the sound was okay. The sound was fine. But so I got used to bad video quality, but watching with bad audio quality is something that our ears just cannot accept. So it's very important to know where your sound is coming from. I'll try to be as forgiving as possible for you to know about this, but it is something to be aware of about your sound and your sound environment as well. Know where what's affecting it. If your dad is watching TV very loudly, then we can all hear it, and that does affect things. I'm going to put in lots of supplemental material this week and next because there's not a lot of material because we're supposed to be presenting. But there's a Hollywood director who started as a YouTuber. That's how we got famous. That's how we got found. But he directed Shazam and Lights Out and one of the Annabelle creation. So he is a movie director, and he's made movies that made money. And he talks about what he's learned about sound and how his amateur methods still come out, his homebrew methods still come out. Very rather interesting. For the rest of the lecture time and next week, I'm going to show you basically YouTube tutorials. Also, I have some suggestions on software you can use. I pay money every month for the Adobe Creative Suite, and it's got Photoshop, it's got Premiere Pro, it's got Audition, it's got After Effects, it's got Publisher, it's got all these wonderful programs and sound effects and all these great things. But I have a job. I have money now that I can spend on that. You don't, and you need alternatives, and there are alternatives, and there are free open source alternatives that you don't need to feel bad about stealing, borrowing, things like that. So here's a short segment through OBS, recorded through OBS, which is a free software as well, about some choices that you can have for video editing, for photo editing, and for sound editing as well. All right, let's take a look very briefly at some of the options available to you for downloading software. These are free-to-use software for the most part. Now, some of them are more limited versions, but two of these are open source. They are part of the old way of thinking about internet things, how things should be free and communication should be free. If you need to edit pictures, GIMP, the GIMP, this is the open source option for photo editing. If you don't want to pay money for it, as you can see, it's 25 years old, which is quite a good age. GIMP has its problems. It's got its pluses too, its positives. It is free, completely and totally free. Nobody can charge money for GIMP. That's great. It's totally free to use. You can look in the source code and you can change it as well. It's an open source, free software, and you can distribute your changes. Just have to give credits where credit is due. So that's great. The problem is it has a very steep learning curve, as in it's hard to learn about. You have to spend time learning how to use the program, and it's not like Photoshop or the other photo editing programs. Since it's open source, it's made by programmers who are used to going into if they don't like the program, they'll go into the source code and change the program. They'll edit it themselves. So they're all very more technically abled people. So GIMP is not user friendly. But on the other hand, for audio editing, Audacity is another free open source cross platform. It can work on across everything, all platforms, Windows, Mac, Linux. This is this is a free, great way to edit your audio. I use Adobe Audition, but I pay for all my Adobe software. But before, I used to use Audacity, and it's perfectly fine to use. It works, and it works pretty well. And for the price, it works great. For the price, for value, it works better than Audition in that free versus money. So if you need to put audio together, if you're recording music or editing music or podcasts or interviews, Audacity is a great option. For video editing, of course, I use Adobe Premiere, but again, that costs money. And a lot of them cost money. But VideoPad Video Editor is one option. This one, the free video editor is for non-commercial use, which is what you are going to be doing. None of you are professional video creators, so that's something for you to bear in mind. I don't have experience with VideoPad Editor. It is easier to get into than other programs, so it is quite helpful, and it's quite fast. Adobe Premiere is famous for being slow because it's a resource hog. And lastly, we have DaVinci Resolve. This one is used professionally, and so it can have a big learning curve as well, because this is what people use when they make movies. It's one of the programs. But it's something that can be quite helpful, and you can download it and use it for free for a while at least. It's a very powerful program, but it has a learning curve as well. So it's something to bear in mind. They got their own special keyboards as well for editing, but that's for some. Don't worry about that. So if I had to choose, I would think VideoPad would be the easier choice for editing your videos. That's the easiest option for now. Later, if you want to learn and practice, then get the bigger programs and start spending some time. But for this short amount of time we have now, I don't think it's worth the stress and frustration of learning, of going through the slow process of learning how to do things properly to do. All right. Next week, our final week, nothing of any real substance. There will be no final test. This bill presentation is your final project, your final test, as it were. So the next week, I need to come up with something that you can officially attend, but it will not be of any actual meaty substance. I want it to be worth value, but it's not going to be anything of worth. It's earth-shattering. So be aware of that. For your video presentations, my battery's dying, so I need to hurry. For your video presentations, I'm going to be watching it, so I'm your audience. Be aware of that. Make it interesting to me. For your presentations, make them persuasive. You're trying to convince me why your design bill is the best, #1 design for the 20,000 won bill. So try to be persuasive. Have passion. If you're bored, why should I care about your design? That's something we need to be aware of. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you guys next week as well. And we'll start, we'll have some more things as well. All right. Thank you, and goodbye.